Yes. We are live with Mel Dupre. Uh, she's going to be joining us at Ashland Clinic from time to time doing something called homeopathy. And first of all, let me just let Mel introduce herself to you. Today we're going to be talking about healing with homeopathy, and she's going to share more about that. How you doing, Mel?
Hi, Dwight. Thanks for having me on this video. I have to say I'm quite nervous because I've never done a live video before, so I'm going to do my best. It's exciting to be here at Ashland Clinic and to start this new venture. So let me start by just saying something about myself. I've been in alternative medicine for almost 20 years, and I started off learning homeopathy and then doing some postgraduate work in complementary therapies. I then went on to study yoga and practice yoga first of all, and then study yoga to be a teacher, and I do some Reiki as well. But my first love is homeopathy, and that's what I focus on, and that's where I put most of my energies into. So through my journey, and it has been a very long but rewarding journey,
Right.
I've come to discover lots of things about healing and about people and what people expect from healing. So I'd just like to clarify what healing is.
Okay.
And it is actually, for me and for those that I see on the journey, it's a journey of self-discovery. So it's about making oneself whole. We come into this world whole, and then through a series of disappointments, traumas, and all sorts of negative things, we tend to get broken down.
Right.
Whether it be emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and then eventually physically. So in that vein, I'd just like to say our bodies are interesting in that they tell us when there's something wrong.
Okay.
So we produce signs, we produce symptoms that indicate that there is something off balance. Whether it be something like lifestyle choices, where we're not eating correctly, we're putting toxins into our body, or not drinking enough water, that sort of thing. Or it could be a physiological problem where we have issues with the kidneys or the liver or the lungs. The body has a very ingenious way of telling us when there's something wrong. Unfortunately, most of us ignore these problems. So we have recurring headaches.
Let me show you the guy who knows that.
Or we're suffering from insomnia because we're so stressed out.
Yeah.
But we ignore them and we medicate them to help it go away, but actually the problem is still there. So when we start to embark on this journey of healing, we want to embrace these signs and symptoms and actually do something about them, rather than just put a plaster over them, put a Band-Aid over them just to make them go away.
Right.
We get to the bottom of it. We get to the cause of what the problem is.
Right.
And so homeopathy is one way of doing that, or addressing that issue, or the issues. So homeopathy is a natural form of medicine. Most people know it, or think it to be herbalism, using essential oils, using acupuncture, but it's not. It's a modality, it's a medicine all on its own. It's a separate modality to those other things. But without even understanding or needing to understand the theory of homeopathy,
Right.
we can understand what it is to heal.
Well, because I had never heard of it. And speaking with Glenn here at Ashland Clinic, just wanted to let our clients know more about how the company is expanding, and some of the services that we're going to be offering. What specifically, what conditions can homeopathy help?
Well, homeopathy helps the person rather than the condition. So it's about healing the person, and therefore the conditions remedy themselves.
Right.
The body has the ability to heal itself, as we know. So, for instance, if we cut our finger, depending on the severity of the cut will heal over.
Right.
It may scar, but the
It'll
body
heal.
can do it on its own.
Yes.
You may need a stitch here or there if it's really deep, but that's and that's part of the course. So,
Right.
in the same way that if a diagnosis of, say, I don't know, diabetes,
Okay.
if in the early stages one can modify diet, they can change lifestyle, they can get more rest, they can do things to help themselves
Right.
in order to help the body and keep the symptoms under control.
Yes.
If someone has had the diagnosis, 5 years ago, and they've continued to eat badly and continue to do the things that will make the condition worse.
No, I didn't say this was going to be personal. So you don't have to. You don't have to target me.
Did I strike a chord?
Next. Continue.
Then the stitch will be the stitch needed will be a bigger one. To use the analogy.
Yeah.
And then we're getting into the realms of dialysis and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
So it's ultimately about taking responsibility. It's about owning our conditions, and taking note of what's going on for ourselves. Now, what other conditions? So I specialize in skin issues because
Okay.
I personally have been through that journey of
Right.
having very bad eczema
Right.
on and off for a very long time.
Right.
Now people say to me, well, you're a homeopath, why hasn't homeopathy helped you? Well, it has, actually.
Yes.
And I know that it's helped me because I'm a very different person now than I was 10 years ago. Not only is my skin clear, but I have overcome emotional, mental obstacles
Yes.
along the way.
Right.
I'm really overcome them. And I think that's the thing, like a lot of people get stuck somewhere along the line.
Right.
And they want their problems to be resolved. But they're not really willing to do anything about it. They're not really willing to look at it. As I said, they go and medicate it, hoping that's going to things will get better. But actually, at the core of it, it's something deeper that needs to be addressed.
Wow. That is interesting. And us talking before we actually started, saying that you were mentioning the importance of the person that needs to be healed, to really want it. It has to be an internal desire,
Yeah.
which I guess it ignites the process.
Yes, absolutely. And just recognizing that,
Yeah. Some of us live in denial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's easy to live in denial.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we can bury our heads or deflect it onto somebody else. It's somebody
Right.
else's fault. It's not my fault that, I don't know, my marriage isn't working. It's the other person's fault. Well,
Right.
actually, it takes two to tango in that scenario.
Yes.
But in terms of our personal health, oh, well, I'm stressed out. My boss, stresses me out and I can't do anything about it. So people feel helpless when they're able to take responsibility, when they're able to own their own stuff,
Right.
when they look at who they are and want to discover more of who they are, that's when healing occurs. So it's not just about, I've had a cancer diagnosis, I want rid of my cancer. Yes, of course, we want rid of the cancer, but what got you to the point of having that diagnosis?
Yes.
You didn't wake up one day with cancer, and that's the big one, right?
Right.
The big C is the one that everybody's afraid of.
Yes.
So that's the one that we.
With you speaking about that, why don't you just let the people know your qualifications? Because one of the jokes that we had was that you had an alphabet. Literally, I mean, I'm not even joking, people. I'm not joking. She has an alphabet after her name. It's like so long it takes up a whole paragraph. So
it's not that long to wait, but
so
I appreciate your sentiment.
explain all those, what you've done, so that people know that you know what you're doing.
Well, for me, to be honest, yes, I study, and yes, I've been certified and, got the papers. I have an admission. I don't even know where my certificates are. They're somewhere between here, Africa, and Europe.
Wow.
But anyway, my thing, the thing that I value is that I've actually lived the journey. I've lived being ill.
Wow.
To this point, I mean, if you had seen me a few years ago, I looked different. Even a year ago, when I was going through some very personal turmoil, my skin was a mess, And so, I hope that I'm proof that the body can heal itself.
Yes.
With determination and with focus and just having a commitment to oneself. I mean, I know people, patients, and even, friends, colleagues, acquaintances who have committed to themselves, and they're in such a beautiful place.
Yes.
They feel free. They feel free within themselves. They feel free to live life, not being overcome with, the pressures and the burdens and the stress. I mean, it's easy to be in that place because most people are. So it's like misery loves company, right? And we're all in it together.
Right.
But it's actually possible to break free of that.
How do you find? Is there a difference between dealing with children versus adults, in that the person needing to first of all understand that I need to own this, I have to have my own sort of vigor to want to be healed. How does that translate when it's a child? How do you deal with that? Because a child may not be able to articulate.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming because this is new to me.
Indeed. Well, the thing with children is that they have less baggage. They have less layers of trauma.
Right.
They have
Right.
less stuff that they've been through. So they generally tend to heal quickly. And on that note, just the dynamic between parents and children can influence the healing of the child. So from the basic thing of if the parent is ill themselves, and not just physically ill, spiritually ill or emotionally not right, in a bad place, giving the child a remedy may not happen as often as it needs to. Right? So that's one hurdle right there. If the parent is giving the child stress, putting that emotional stuff on the child, may hamper the healing process for the child. But if we're talking about if things are balanced and, nice rosy picture, generally, children heal so quickly. They don't need to, it sounds like I'm talking about people need to be in tune with themselves and all that kind of hippie stuff. Yes, to a certain degree. Right. But, there is that, you give the pill and it helps as well, kind of thing. I'm talking, when I'm talking about being in tune with oneself, I'm talking about like that deep understanding.
Yes.
But with children, okay, so let me give you an example of two children with skin issues. So one of them the parents brought her to me some years ago, and they couldn't have the cat in the house. She was allergic to everything she ate. She couldn't bathe or shower, and she was only 4. She had all these issues.
Wow.
Poor child, and she was covered head to toe. It took the process took about over a year to get this child where she could get in the bath. I mean, obviously she bathed, but so in the end, she could get in the bath. They got the cat back. So the family pet, they had given it to someone they knew, got the cat back. She can eat whatever she wants. So much better. But in that journey, on that process, she was up and she was down. The skin was good and it wasn't good. Right. And the parents were invested a lot in this child. And they started to come to me because of their issues. Right? So as they sorted out their issues, and the mother was very hands-on with the kid, and um, controlling
Okay.
in a way, and to her own admission. So they recognized where they were going wrong, and so as they eased, the child started to get better.
Wow.
Yeah. And another example, but quite a different example. So, mother brought the child to me who had a little bit of a face rash, and it was a little bit. So it's sort of at the start of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
and she was totally into the process of having this child get better, and asked what was going to happen, and within a couple of weeks, the skin started to clear.
Oh wow.
So a very different version of a skin problem, yeah, or a different experience.
Right.
So I think my point is, depends on how long it's been there.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what other factors
Yes.
are influencing
Right.
the skin. Once a condition has taken hold and the pathology has gone deeply into the system, it takes longer to come
Right.
out of it.
Sometimes that principle happens in other areas of life.
Absolutely. Principles of healing are principles of life.
Yeah, they're the same thing. So, like for those of us who have or who had no idea, of what a typical homeopathic session
Right.
would entail. What is it? What is it like? What is it? Are you in a room? Are you? Do you do it? Can you do it online? Is it can you talk to you remotely?
Yeah.
How do you do your sessions?
Well, it's quite similar to this, actually.
Right.
It's an interview,
Okay.
and not a formal interview,
Right.
obviously, because I'm not a formal person. I probably laugh more now
Okay.
than I normally do, but I think you get the point. So someone would come usually with a physical problem,
Right.
or it could be an emotional problem. And we sit, and I ask them to explain what the problem is, how long they've had it, how they experience it in their life, and then talk around other things, so their past medical condition, their family condition,
Okay.
medical condition, where they are emotionally, where they are with their diet, how they sleep, what their bowels are like, all those sorts of general
Right.
things, bodily functions. And then we put together a timeline, or I put together a timeline and look at the history of
Mhm.
their condition, work out where the traumas were, where the stuck points were, so for instance, if someone's had a grief and after that they've never been well, they suffered headaches, or they suffered heart palpitations,
Okay.
then we're constantly looking for the cause. So the cause of the heart palpitations, they never had it before the grief, must be the grief,
Right.
right? Whether, not absolutely,
Right.
other factors, but you can sometimes pinpoint exactly when it started.
Exactly.
So they're going to the doctor for ECGs and stress tests and all of that, and nothing's showing up. Well, why? Because the heart isn't the problem, the physical heart,
Right.
right? It's the grief that's causing it.
Right.
It's the emotional heart,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? So it's about understanding how the emotions play on our physical body,
Wow.
it's not common speak,
No, it's not.
right?
That's very interesting. So, you get I think you get a certain expectation of how long your healing process is going to be. So my guess is that it depends completely on the individual. It depends on, like you said, how severe it is and how much they want to, how badly they want to be healed.
Absolutely.
So it could range. Is there like a ballpark range where it can range from? Is it like 1 month to a year or
Right.
2 years?
Okay.
Is it in general? Can you generalize it?
Yes, and I'll do that in a minute. I'll just finish the other question about the process.
Right. Okay.
So after the initial interview, what happens is I will prescribe some remedies, a remedy or some remedies to be taken in a certain way,
Okay.
and then
Those will be like.
homeopathic remedies. I should have brought some to show you. I don't have all on me.
So what is a homeopathic remedy in a
So-
nutshell?
In a nutshell, they look like little sweets.
Okay.
little
Candies.
Yes, yay.
Okay.
No, they're little sugar balls that are medicated on the outside,
Right.
and they're taken under the tongue, and they dissolve, and then
So
magic happens.
it doesn't taste like a fancy.
No. No, that's why kids do so well, because they like to take the remedies because they're sweet.
Okay.
No, but all jokes aside, no, they can be in liquid form, they can be in powder form, they can be in tablet form, they come in all sorts of forms. It doesn't matter what the form is.
Okay.
It's just about getting the remedies in and starting the healing process. So what they do, they stimulate the body to heal itself.
Right. Okay.
And so what happens, we were saying about coming in, having the interview, prescribing the remedies, and as long as people take the remedies, something will happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Keyword, take
the
the
remedies.
remedies. Right.
Be
right,
compliant.
right.
Otherwise,
Let me write that down.
happens.
Be compliant. Right. Okay. Got you.
And then they come back in 4 weeks to 4 to 6 weeks, and we assess what has happened in that time.
Oh.
Whether new symptoms have occurred, old symptoms have come back.
Right.
That's common to have a return of old symptoms, and that's a good thing because it means that there's been a layer of heat. Something's fallen away. Old symptoms are coming back, and we're getting back to the source, back to the original source of health.
Okay.
Okay. And then it depends on how severe the case is. Maybe another 2, 3 sessions, maybe a year.
Right. It depends.
It depends. And it depends on what people are doing with
Right, because
themselves as well.
you can't be like, for instance, if it's maybe it's something that maybe it's something that someone is eating that they probably shouldn't be eating, and you know it, you know what it does, but you still eat it.
Classic example, right? So somebody who, I don't know, eats hamburgers and fries and enjoys hamburgers and fries, but afterwards they know that it upsets their stomach and they have gas and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Blood. But that's okay because they can take some, I don't know, what is it, Pepto-Bismol or something.
I don't know anything about
something
that.
Something to
My
fill
lips
their
are sealed.
stomach.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about right now.
But they can go on. So
Yes.
that's a sign, right?
Yeah.
And it's even bordering on a symptom. But they can ignore it because they can just put it away.
Yeah.
And then eventually the damage is done first by the medication. And I'm not anti-medication. There's a place for medication.
Yes.
But when it's abused in that way, rather than changing the diet to
Right.
eating something that is more conducive to them, it's obviously doing something.
Yes.
If it's not agreeing with you, it's, and it's telling you that.
It's an argument.
Right.
Something's going on.
Compared to, right?
Yeah.
Someone who is allergic to fish, peanuts, something.
Wow,
So they eat it,
Yeah.
and they know because they're in anaphylactic shock and they're at the hospital, or
Okay,
they're dead, right?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so we can pick and choose what we want to listen to. Like, big time allergic, yeah, you're going to listen to that because no one wants to die. Or sensitivity, not agreeing with, but I'll do it, I'll just
Right.
suppress it, and I'll suppress it, and I'll suppress it, and eventually it's going to end up in something.
Yes, because there are a couple food ingredients, I'll call them ingredients, that I probably shouldn't eat.
Right.
And I know very well what it
Yeah.
does, and I shouldn't eat it. But sometimes I say to myself, look, man, you worked hard today. You deserve this.
Absolutely.
Just drink some water afterwards.
We
and
all
you'll be
do
all right.
it. We all do it. And I suppose it's learning to have those moments less
Yes. Yeah.
somehow.
Yes. It's balance. you gotta involve some sort of balance, right? I mean the public, whoever's listening.
And trust me, I'm not preaching because, it's not, and one time in the newspaper, the reporter said, oh, and Mel preaches. I don't preach. Like, I don't tell people what to do.
Right.
We're big enough and ugly enough to know,
To know.
what we have to do for ourselves, right? In terms of children, well, that's a different story. They're young and impressionable, and you can guide them in the right way, hopefully, so that they don't make silly choices.
I have one last question regarding the you may find that, I don't know, some modalities or even some medicines or some medical procedures, they benefit, you know, certain types of people, whatever. Who typically, like in general, benefits from, you know, homeopathy? Is
Right.
it you know, is it how do you classify it? Are people classified in certain ways, like who benefits?
Well, in my experience, people that are open. So
Yeah.
open to wanting to be better, open
Yeah.
to simply taking the pills, open to observing what happens when they've taken the pills.
Right.
It's an interesting question because people will say, well, you have to believe in that stuff.
Right.
No, actually, you don't have to believe, because if you trapped your finger in the door, if you put your finger in the door and I slammed the door on your finger,
Yeah.
maybe because you deserved it, or
You-
maybe not.
You can disbelieve that all you want. Oh,
You
it doesn't
can-
hurt.
Right, and if I gave you a remedy called hypericum, the pain will be gone sooner than if I didn't give it to you.
Right.
Right, and you don't have to believe anything, you just know that there's pain and then there's not. There's no belief system involved.
Well, we used to believe in Fensic. That's my favorite word. Fensic. We used to believe in that.
Well, you know,
That
we believe in
nasty
all
taste.
sorts of crazy things. But children don't believe.
Right.
You know, if they're ill and you give them remedies and they're in a space where they're able to heal, then yes, they will get better, whether it's an acute condition or a chronic condition or whatever it is.
Right.
You know, animal homeopathy, there are lots of studies and lots of work done by vets on animal homeopathy.
Animal
They
homeopathy.
don't believe. Yeah, well,
There's an animal homeopathy.
of course.
What?
Remedies are remedies, right?
Whoa.
So remedies, the homeopathic remedies are made from things from nature, so plants, animals, minerals.
Okay.
So things in nature heal nature.
Well, that's an interesting
So,
concept.
well, it's not
It's,
new.
it's not new. It's just yeah.
So if a dog is sick, what does it do?
It
It's grass.
yeah, it eats certain types of grass or whatever. And that's what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in development.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah. They don't have a vet ambulance that comes to pick them up. You know, I'm not saying that there's not a place for that. Of course
Right.
there is. But, you know, in terms of taking our power back and taking responsibility for ourselves and just getting to know ourselves better,
right.
you know, there are options to do that.
Good. We are certainly glad to be having you to start doing homeopathic sessions at Ashland Clinic. And what can no, I already know because I'm the one that's going to be doing it. We're going to be doing some promotions to let people know about what you're going to be offering here. It's exciting. Glenn's excited. We're just, working out the time schedule, and some of that is stuff that I'm doing with the website or whatever.
Right.
But we're certainly looking forward to having you here at Ashland Clinic, and I want to thank you for today for being excuse me, for being open to share with people, because I didn't know a thing about I thought it was something that happened at home. It happens at home. Oh, this must be some sort of some apathy that happens at home. Right, that was
well,
my.
that's a G-rated version.
Yeah.
I've had all sorts of other versions, as you can imagine.
Right. But it's good to know. Very informative.